Okay, this is a better question. Would you agree that the government doesn't have the right to tell women to do with what their bodies, quote unquote, to remain pregnant?
Yeah. So, it's all about consent as far as, consent to sex isn't consent to pregnancy. Consent to pregnancy isn't consent to remain pregnant. And, so, maybe one day we'll have sufficient medical science to ensure that any pregnancy could be viable. So abortion wouldn't result in the death of
So
of the
there's
child.
definitely
But until such time that is a reality, yeah.
So there's definitely things that you could do to prevent a pregnancy, such as contraception, birth control. 100%, people can prevent pregnancy, but pregnancy, in the act of pregnancy, if you're not using contraceptives, the result is going to be a pregnancy if conception takes place. Would you agree? Like, it's not gonna, nothing wild. You're either going to conceive in sex, depending on how the woman tracks her cycle, things like that, or you're not going to conceive. Those are the only two things that can possibly happen coming from pregnancy, right? Coming from sex, sorry.
Yeah, if you can become pregnant, then that's always going to be a very real risk when having sex. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Do you know what the function of the uterus is?
Yes.
Can you tell me, please? Or I can read it out. I think he's lagging a little bit.
What was it?
The uterus.
Tell Chloe the function of the uterus.
What's the function of the uterus?
Travis,
I could just read it out.
I got that Walmart connection, man.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Chloe. Read it out.
The uterus is a female reproductive organ that is responsible for many functions in the process of implantation, gestation, menstruation, and labor. So everything, the function of the uterus, the purpose of the uterus is to house a fetus. So by saying it's bodily autonomy, you're technically saying, as someone who is pro-choice, you're going into the uterus and you're dismantling or killing a child, an unborn child, who is actually there because that is the point of the uterus. So how is it bodily autonomy when the function of the uterus is to hold a pregnancy? How is that bodily autonomy?
Sure. I missed the whole first part about the uterus. I couldn't really hear, but I hear the question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, this would, this is kind of a naturalistic fallacy. Like, yeah, that is the function of a uterus. I'm not saying that that's not why we have uteruses. A
woman can live without a uterus, right?
Reproductive organs,
uteruses, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if they don't want to get pregnant, just like men can have a vasectomy, why can't a woman, if she never wants to get pregnant and she wants to be true, my body, my choice, why can't she just have a hysterectomy and become sterile? Instead of having that scary
because she may want to have kids at some point in the future, but
at the same time you can use contraception to prevent that, right? That doesn't make it less of
but contraception isn't foolproof.
But that doesn't make the point of the uterus, that doesn't make the function of the uterus any less important than its main job. The main function of the uterus is to house. It's there for the fetus. It's not there for anything else but to hold a fetus.
We agree.
Perfect.
We agree.
Perfect.
We agree. We agree. That
Again,
is what the uterus is there for.
How is it bodily autonomy to the mother when it's there for the fetus? It's not there for the mother.
Because again, the life of the fetus or the child is dependent on the life of the pregnant person, right?
But even outside of the womb,
So
a newborn is still completely dependent on the mother's body.
not
That's
on the
how.
body. No, it's
Yes,
gonna
what is
depend
breastfeeding then?
on mom's resources.
What is breastfeeding then?
No, it's not. And not all women breastfeed, but even for women who breastfeed, that has nothing to do with. There's not a. You're
It's
not.
dependent
You're
on the
talking about
mother
something
and
in the
the
womb. Yeah, but
body.
no, there's dependency, but it's not dependent on the body. It's not a violation of bodily autonomy to feed a,
Yeah.
a
No, I don't
living
think it's right because
born
I don't
kid.
believe in bodily autonomy, right? Or the so-called right, because the government still tells you can't walk around outside naked, right? But if someone wants to walk around outside naked, would you say that violates bodily
That
autonomy? Your argument is bodily autonomy.
it
That's what
doesn't
I'm
violate
asking you a
bodily
question about.
autonomy.